friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie Yo 354. Day in that neighborhood. My brothers and sisters, it is Tuesday, y'all. One of our favorite days of the week. Because we get to go back to who? Mike from that chapter. That Chapter Tuesdays, y'all. Hope y'all doing excellent out there today. And I'm glad that you came on back to the channel once again. So fuck with the ping. In the title of the video, the scariest disappearances that are still a mystery. Number 2. Now, this gonna be cool for Mike because we don't get a lot of videos from Mike where he cover multiple stores, you know what I'm saying? Most of the time, all he do is one story. So that's just a treat within itself. And then the fact that it's 42 minutes and 17 seconds long, like we got a long one to watch today from Mike, y'all. And just, I know these disappearances just gonna leave us trying to figure them out and try to see who did it, who could have possibly did it. And I feel like at least one of these disappearances, it's gonna be pretty evident who freaking did it. But some kind of way the police can't charge the person with it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know it's finna get crazy, y'all. But before we see how crazy it get, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you might need. Get what you need. That Chapter Tuesdays, my friends. Y'all got what y'all need? Y'all ready to go? Then let's fucking go.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video, I want to take you through some more of the darkest disappearances that still to this day remain a mystery. So whether this video will be like a warning, or you can keep an eye out for these people who disappeared in the strangest of circumstances, I will leave that up to you. From a disappearance which led to a ring of evil in the backwoods, to an entire family that went missing not once, but twice, and still right now, nobody knows what happened. Settle in, let's give it a go.
Let's give it a go. And get whatever you may need.
So to begin with, well, I wouldn't say actually any of the disappearances in this video have a good explanation, but let's start with the ones that are semi-explainable. We'll do it iceberg style again, before getting to some of the darkest and creepiest disappearances. And I really mean it. Though in this one, we're pretty much just diving straight into the deep end.
Let's do it.
Hannah Up. So here's something very odd. A woman who disappeared 3 times. In September 2008, 23-year-old Hannah Up was due for her first day at teaching in a middle school in Harlem. She was excitedly looking forward to it. There was only one problem. That day, all the students in her class filed in, sat down at her desk, grand. But Hannah didn't file in. She did not walk in at all. In her apartment, her wallet, passport, her phone, just no sign as to where she could have gone, and no indication as to why she hadn't shown up at work. Then, almost 2 weeks later, she was spotted on CCTV at an Apple store in Midtown Manhattan. She was seen walking in, opening her Gmail, and then leaving.
Authorities in New York say a teacher who disappeared just before the first day of school has been spotted. 23-year-old Hannah Up disappeared August 29th, just days before classes were set to begin. Police have been looking for her ever since.
The disappearance of Hannah was everywhere, so as she was actually walking in to this Apple store, someone said, "Hey, you that, seen your picture in the news? Are you that missing teacher?" Hannah, no.
This damn lady lost her mind or something, man. What other reason would she be doing this? Like, something happened to her brain or something to make her she acting like she not Hannah Up. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy already.
No, it's not me. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Tracking that sighting led nowhere. Then over the next week, she was spotted again and again around Manhattan, at a Starbucks, a sports bar. But every time people tried to chase down a lead, she swiftly disappeared into the bustling streets once again. Then, almost 3 weeks after she was reported missing, she was spotted bobbing in the water face down near the Statue of Liberty. She was spotted by the captain of the Staten Island ferry. She was swiftly rescued and she was alive, like by a miracle. How the hell she survived there in the water, how long she was there for. She was there face down. Incredible, she survived and she was taken to hospital. And then, she made a full recovery. She had no recollection of where she'd been for the past 3 weeks. She didn't even know one of the first things she said was, oh hey, I can't wait to start school tomorrow. Not realizing almost a month. That was a month ago. She was questioned and the last thing she remembered was going for a run, and that was it. She underwent tests, and doctors could find no neurological reason for what had happened. So that was kind of it. She went back to school and, it's weird, but we're kind of hoping it doesn't happen again. It did, 4 years later. This time, Hannah was working at a Montessori in Maryland, and like the previous time, first day of class, she was a no-show. Her purse, wallet, and phone were found on a wooded path, and a search of the nearby woods revealed nothing, and it was determined that she hadn't slept in her apartment for a few days, and no one had spoken to her. It was the day after she was reported missing that her mother received a call from an unknown number. It was Hannah. She had recollected herself. She was in a dirty creek about a mile from the school. She had wandered and asked to borrow somebody's phone. Like the first time, she had no idea what had happened.
I'm telling y'all, man, this some kind of brain disease or something this lady got going on that maybe doctors can't even diagnose because they don't know what it is yet. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's one of them undiscovered so far diseases or something. Something wrong with her, like some form of Alzheimer's or some shit. I don't know, man. But this is weird as hell. It's like just out of nowhere, she'll just stop being herself and be somebody else. I don't know.
That's twice she entered some kind of fugue state and only was able to recover herself after being near entering water. After that, she went back to work and she seemed once again fine. But as you can imagine, everybody was worried about her. They talked about putting an ankle monitor on her in case it happened again, which it did for the final time.
Uh-oh.
In 2013, Hannah accepted a position at a school in St. Thomas, US Virgin Islands. Nice, then all Caribbean way. She was living there, she was teaching. She was there for about 4 years, living on the quieter side of the island, and she was having a great time there. She was loving life. It's in paradise. On September 6th, 2017, Hurricane Irma hit the island, an extremely powerful hurricane that caused widespread destruction. She and her roommates, they huddled up, they waited, they survived unscathed, while the island itself was decimated. Hannah was there. She texted her friends that she was safe, but said the island was unrecognizable. Then, 6 days later, Hannah went to the house of her ex-boyfriend, presumably just to see if he was okay. He was gone. He had left a note saying he'd gone to the harbor because another hurricane was bearing down on St. Thomas. All these ships were trying to take as many people off the islands to safety as they could. Her ex-boyfriend was there, Hannah, come. Hannah said no. She was gonna weather the storm, she was gonna wait it out, she was gonna hunker down. And that was when Hannah started acting strange again.
This is the worst time possible for her to start acting strange in the middle of freaking hurricanes.
For example, the following day she was at school, helping prepare for what was coming. But other people said she was acting like a robot. Like giving one-word answers, that sort of thing. Not talking, staring off into space, like she just wasn't there. Her roommates were all trying to get off the island, but not Hannah. Then, once again, she told her friends one morning, going into work, going into school, she got into her car, they see her drive off. But she never arrived at the school. It was at exactly the same time of year as her previous 2 disappearances, and knowing how they found her previously, they went to check near water. Water would somehow revive her from these fugue states she went into. In fact, they went to her favorite beach and they found her stuff there at a bar at the beach. Her purse, phone, wallet, all that sort of stuff. Employees at this beach bar said they found them in the sand on the beach and they recovered them, hoping somebody would come back. Her car was also at the same beach. They went out looking. But the second hurricane was fast approaching. They didn't find it, the hurricane hit, destruction again, and Hannah is still missing. Likely if she drowned, her body would float to the surface, but they never found her before or after the storm. They checked shelters, abandoned buildings, hospitals, but still to this day no one knows what became of Hannah Up.
Man, that's sad, man. I just seriously feel like it was something wrong with her, man. Well, we all can come to that conclusion, right? You know what I'm saying? I just don't be trying to make it sound like I'm trying to be funny. Like, I seriously think she had some type of mental problem. Or, if you want to be a conspiracy theorist and come up with some even more crazy-ish, this the type stuff that make me believe in people putting spells on people and voodoo shit and all that, man. Like maybe somebody put a spell on her or something that would just knock her into this trance or something. But see, I like to stay away from that. I don't believe in none of that, y'all. I don't believe that's what it is. I just believe she had a mental problem, man. But rest in peace to Hannah, man. Rest in peace. Let's keep going.
Philip's family disappearance. Now for what may be one of the crazier stories in this video, because this is a family that went missing not once, but twice, are still missing to this day. And one of the strangest things is that just a couple of months ago, they may have been involved in a bank robbery. So in New Zealand, 2021 is when this story begins. A man named Thomas Phillips, 36 years of age, was living in Otorohango with his 3 children, Jada, 10, Maverick, 8, and Ember, 7. Thomas had divorced his wife a number of years previously. It seems like Thomas had full custody of their 3 children, and he lived with them in like the family farm. They had this big family farm kind of like a little bit out of town, a place they had lived for like 4 generations. They were well known. The Phillips family were well known in the local area. Now Thomas, real outdoorsman, he loved camping, hunting, all of that sort of stuff. He was very experienced in the bush. But on September 11th, 2021, Thomas and the kids vanished.
Big search and rescue operation continues for a father and his 3 children on the rugged west coast of the North Island.
Remote Kiritaheri Beach is where Thomas Phillips' ute was found on Sunday. The vehicle was swamped with seawater, but there was no sign of him or his 3 young children.
When the car was located, waves were crashing into it. At that point, members of the community went and retrieved the car and then notified family.
The family was last seen 6 kilometres away on Saturday in the small town of Marakopa, where Thomas Phillips grew up.
His car was found on a beach, seemingly abandoned, and when authorities, family, you know it, were all alerted, the fear was that the entire family, Thomas and his children, had been swept out to sea. The waters were very rough that day when it's believed they had been there. A freak accident, they'd all maybe gone for a swim, a rogue wave had took the 3 of them out, never to be seen again. Now, a major search was done, hundreds of locals and volunteers, but nothing. They couldn't find any sightings of them. And the search was eventually suspended after 12 days.
And see, the thought that, and I thought about it too, the thought that maybe they got swept out to sea, it don't sit right with me. Like, I just don't feel like that's what actually happened to them, man. The 3 kids part, like, bro, that was making this shit so sad.
Then, 5 days after the search was suspended, so they haven't been seen for 17 days now, guess who walks into the Phillips family farm? Tom and the 3 children. A big shit-eating grin on Tom's face, not a bother on him.
5 days ago, the search was suspended, fearing the worst. Then, today, they walked back home, into the arms of overjoyed relatives.
It's all good. Bring the babies out.
They were all safe, in great spirits, but as you can imagine, everybody was extremely pissed off. Rightfully so. They thought they were dead. Turned out they had just been camping in the woods for like over about 2.5 weeks. Just neglected to let anybody, know this. Everybody thought they had been killed in a tragic accident. Family, friends, authorities, not to mention the searches and the money spent to find them, and all that. People were relieved, but big mad. Now, due to all of the money spent on that search, Thomas was actually due to appear in court. That date was set for November 2021, but due to COVID, it was pushed to January 2022. Thomas would not make that January 2022 appointment because in December, Thomas and the 3 kids vanished once again. This time, though, permanently. They were last seen on December 9th, but this time they did say they were going into the bush once more. Because of this, the police didn't launch a search immediately, right? They were aware. They're like, all right, fine, you know, if you want to go camping, right, but be back for that court date. He was not back for his court date. They went out into the bush December 2021. This video you are watching is coming out in October 2023. They have still not been found, but they have been sighted. As I said, Thomas didn't show for his court date, and an arrest warrant was issued. He did later return to the family farm alone on February 9th, 2 months after they left. He'd come back to get supplies, and he was telling his family members, who were obviously really, really worried, he was like, listen, just gotta grab a couple of things, be out of your hair in a few minutes, the kids are safe. But he didn't say where they were. Family members who met him said he looked rough, you know, beard, his hair was getting long, like he had been living in the bush for this entire time. Then he disappeared again. Now authorities, they did searches, and the Phillips family said the authorities aren't searching hard enough. But they did search, they searched everywhere. Now New Zealand is huge, sparsely populated. There's a lot of bush out there, very dense bush, so it's extremely hard to find people out there, but no sightings. In fact, it's actually believed that the Phillips family are getting help from someone.
Police have launched a fresh appeal to find missing man Tom Phillips and his family. Despite extensive searches, police haven't been able to find Tom or his 3 children, Ember, Maverick and Jada Phillips.
There have been sightings, but none conclusive. Until like a couple of months ago.
This one weird as fuck, y'all. This one is weird as hell, man. I don't know if I should believe the kids alive or not. Should we at this point believe that Thomas killed the kids? I don't know, man. Why is he doing this with his kids, bro? Like, why are you living out in the woods with 3 children? This weird.
In May 2023, Tom allegedly robbed a bank and shot a supermarket employee in Taquidi, just south of the family farm. They got away with cash and fled away on a motorbike. I say they because someone was with Tom, but nobody knows who that somebody with Tom who helped him rob a bank was. But they're still in that local area. The bank robbery happened like the next town over from where they lived. Then on August 2nd, 2023, it's believed he stole a Toyota Hilux. And after that, he was spotted at a supermarket wearing a beanie, glasses and a mask. Tracking that led nowhere. And more recently, he was spotted stealing cold weather clothing from a house, and he was chased by the owner. It's kind of unclear in the reporting, but it seems there may have been a car chase with this guy trying to run Thomas Phillips off the road. Thomas managed to avoid that guy, he escaped, helicopters went after him, lost him. And nobody knows where Thomas Phillips and his 3 children, who have not been seen in years, are. Thomas has been seen, some mysterious person with him has been seen, but nobody knows what's up with the kids. So what the hell is going on out there? Are they getting help? Are the kids alive? There are so many questions to this still ongoing. So I mean, all of the stories are ongoing, but this story, there are updates right now. Bryce Laspisa.
Yep, man. I don't know, y'all. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I really think that them 3 kids are deceased. I believe he killed them 3 kids and just went on the run type shit. Now he just on the run after killing his 3 kids for whatever crazy ass reason. But let's take it back right there and let's go to the 3rd one.
There's so many questions to this still ongoing. So I mean, all of the stories are ongoing, but this story, there are updates right now. Bryce Laspisa. In 2013, 19-year-old college student Bryce Laspisa was driving to his parents' home in Laguna Niguel. Bryce was a student at Sierra College in Rockland at the time, which is about a 7.5-hour drive north of his parents' house. There, he was a sophomore, and that August literally just started the semester and was excited to get back into his course, Industrial and Graphic Design. Now, Bryce was on his way back to his folks' house that late August evening. He was very close with his parents. They'd recently moved, all of them were recently moved to California from Illinois, and that evening he really just felt like he needed to speak with them, he needed to see them, he needed his parents' support. See, although his freshman year had gone real well, at the start of his sophomore year, things were not going so well. He had just broken up with his girlfriend, and he began drinking a lot. It seemed like he was going through some stuff. Maybe it was to cope with the breakup of his girlfriend. Taking Vyvanse a lot, which is an amphetamine, similar to Ritalin or Adderall, diagnosed for people with ADHD, but he was knocking it back. And it was on August 28th that Bryce's friend Sean, worried about him, called Bryce's mother Karen to say, well, he wasn't doing too good. His drinking, his drug use, and the fact that Bryce broke up with his girlfriend via text, saying she'd be better off without him, which is not good. And he had also just given his friend Sean his Xbox and a pair of like diamond earrings that he'd been given. It's also weird that Bryce gave his friend Sean his Xbox when his last Instagram post, Bryce's last Instagram post, was him chuffed that he had bought Madden 25 at midnight. He was a big gamer. His last text to Sean read, "I love you, bro. Seriously. You are the best person I've ever met. You saved my soul."
I don't know where I remember this story from, y'all, but I remember this dude's face, and now I'm hearing the story over. I remember it, man, and it's freaking crazy. I don't remember who channel it was from, y'all, but yeah, I know what might go on with this one.
So probably someone going through a severely depressive episode. His mother, Karen, offered to fly down to him, but Bryce said, "I'll come to you," specifically saying, "I have a lot to talk to you about." He was then in his 2003 Toyota Highlander on the road. Now this is when things get pretty scary. At 1 a.m. on August 29th, Bryce called his mother. Now she thought he was calling that, saying he just arrived home and he was just checking in. But he actually said he was only an hour outside of Rockland, so he'd barely been on the road at all when he said he'd left hours ago. Then the next morning when she woke up, there was no sign of him. And at 11 a.m, Bryce's parents became worried when they were informed he had used their insurance's roadside assistance. So he had a breakdown on the side of the road. Okay, so they followed up with their roadside insurance, right, to see what had happened, who had been contacted, yada yada yada. Because Bryce was not answering his phone. This in turn led them to a guy who owned a tire and gas station in Buttonwillow, a small town a little over halfway between Rockland and Laguna Niguel. This guy, Christian, told Bryce's parents, "Yeah, I was out there, I was called out at about 9 a.m, I found Bryce on the side of the road. It turned out he just ran out of gas, ran out of petrol in his car, so filled him up, that was it." Now this Christian was talking to Bryce's parents. They're like, "Yeah, we still have no sign of him." So Christian said, nice guy, said, "I can head out to where he was, a couple of miles outside of town, see if there's any sign of him." Christian went out there, and Bryce had not moved an inch. This was hours later. Christian said to Bryce, "Hey, your parents are really, really worried. Maybe you should just give him a buzz, And then Bryce seemed to snap out of it. I was like, yeah, I'll call him. And he took off. He drove off. Christian said he watched him drive away out of sight. But hours later, Bryce was still not home. His parents then filed a missing persons report, and the sheriff's department were able to find him relatively quickly from his cell phone movements. He was now only a handful of miles from Buttonville. It seems that Bryce drove out of sight of where Christian had come back and spoken to him, and then pulled over once again. The officers who found him said he was in great form, friendly, didn't seem out of it or anything like that, and found no drugs or alcohol. So the police who found him said, "Call your parents," and this time he did. He said, "Yeah, listen, hey, folks, Michael and Karen, his parents," said, "Yeah, I'm going to be home in a few hours, right? This time I'm actually going to make it." He did. Then,
this one, like that first case, y'all, it's so crazy how weird he acting, man. Like, what? Like, you can't explain it. That, there's no logical reason for him to be doing what he doing, just sitting in his car for hours on the side of the road when you supposed to be going to your parents' house and everybody looking for you. You just acting weird as fuck. But I don't know, man. I don't want to think it's paranormal or nothing. I don't want to think crazy. That's why I just keep going back to something mental going on with these people that suddenly start to act like this. Some type of disease.
At 2 a.m. on August 30th, Bryce, who should have been home a long time ago, he called once more, saying he was too tired to keep driving, that he would pull over and sleep, see you in the morning. Then at 8 a.m, finally, right, Michael and Karen heard a knock at the door. They raced down, expecting to see Bryce give him a big hug. Only it was a guy, not Bryce. It was actually a California Highway Patrol officer who said they had found Bryce's car in a ravine. Not good. It was found abandoned near Castiac Lake. It was down a ravine. It appeared it had crashed. The rear window was shattered. His phone, wallet still inside, and no sign of Bryce's visa.
A 19-year-old His name is Bryce Laspisa, had been studying at Rockland Sierra College and has been missing since last Friday. KCRA 3's Kevin Oliver, live for us at Sierra College tonight. And Kevin, I understand you spoke with one of his former roommates just this afternoon.
That's right, and his former roommate said he moved up here to Northern California to go to school here at Sierra College to get a fresh new start in a new community. And now many here and his friends and family down in Southern California are trying to figure out what happened to him on that trip home.
Now, from how he was acting before, you might think that he, well, but the lake was searched. It was dredged, in fact. Every inch of that lake was searched. He hadn't gone in. CCTV would later show that after Bryce called his mother, remember saying that he was really tired, he was going to pull over and sleep on the side of the road in his car. That's not what he did at all. He pulled over, but kept driving, went down this like dirt road leading to the lake. But what did he do with the lake? What happened to his smashed window? Likely it went down a ravine, maybe it was dark and he accidentally drove over the ravine, smashed it to get out. Maybe he was disoriented and something happened, but it didn't seem like he went in the lake. The search was huge. The lake was searched. All the areas around the lake were searched. They could not find him. They brought sniffer dogs, right? Sniffer dogs found his scent. It led to a truck stop. Then it ended. Bones would later be found, in fact, at the lake, but DNA tests would say it was not Bryce. In fact, nothing of his, other than what he left behind, has ever been found. Whether he had a psychotic break, whether he went to start a new life, or whether something really, really terrible happened to Bryce Laspisa, we may never know. Daniel Robinson.
It's tough, man. It's tough dealing with one of the ones like that, because that's one of the ones where you just wonder, like, is he still alive, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one of the ones where I think it might be a great possibility that dude's still alive and he just went crazy or something. I don't know, y'all, but I kind of got that feeling that out of all the video we watch, I just put it that way, he the one person that I believe got a chance to still be alive with a brand new identity and everything, and probably don't even remember who he used to be or something. I don't know, but let's keep going.
The year was 2021, and 24-year-old Daniel Robinson was working as a geologist, something he had studied at the College of Charleston in South Carolina. He was working near the city of Buckeye, Arizona. Now, Daniel loved the outdoors. I would hope so, if you like rocks. So he was in charge of taking care of some of the remote desert sites for his employer, Matrix New World Engineering. He had been working there over the summer of 2021, but on June 23rd, 2021, he left his work site, never to be seen again. He was at the remote job site in the desert testing groundwater, and just after 9 a.m. he left the site in his blue 2017 Jeep Renegade. He was due to be at that site all day, so no one's kind of sure why he left, but no one's even more sure as to where he went. Now, this wasn't entirely out of form for young Daniel. He was a very adventurous sort. He loved, spontaneity, but he was also careful, as in, like, if he's gonna go off somewhere, he would at least text, hey, this is where I'm going. That same evening, a missing persons report was filed, but nothing was found, and the desert is very big out there. His phone was either off or out of range of cell towers, and a large-scale search began. Ground and air crews looking out in that endless desert, but found neither Daniel nor his Jeep.
Dang.
That was until a month later, when things got weird and they got dark. I mean, it's already pretty dark when you got a person missing and no answers to where they went. But now, right on July 19th, his Jeep was found. His Jeep was found in an area that had already been searched. So, you're not going to miss it. And the Jeep was not in a good state. It was down a ravine, damaged and on its side. Inside was his phone, wallet, and other items, you keep on you, like your keys and stuff. The airbags had been deployed, and it appeared that someone had been inside when it went down, and had been wearing a seatbelt. But there was no one there. This is like Bryce Laspisa all over again. It was really, really weird. Somebody had been in that car. They could tell from the seatbelt that someone had been in it. But where were they in it? There was no trail of blood, no nothing. And Bryce's, his high-vis work vest and his boots were found right beside. An accident investigator was in fact hired by the family, and they said, investigating the accident, it looked staged. Adding a super weird twist to this is that in the week before he disappeared, Daniel had been texting a woman named Caitlin he had met. It appeared he'd wanted to meet up with her, but she wasn't interested. See, Daniel had met her while he was delivering for Instacart, a grocery delivery service. I'm guessing he needed a bit of extra cash. So one day he was delivering alcohol to Caitlin and her friend at their place. Whatever, at the door, they started yapping away. They got on great, they were joking, having a good... Caitlin and her friend actually invited him inside, shooting the shit. They exchanged numbers, and then that was that. But then Caitlin would say Daniel got weird, clingy, odd. He began showing up to her house unannounced numerous times, texting her all the time. She was like... She thought he was being a creep, essentially. She said it made her feel very uncomfortable. In fact, the day before he was last seen, he texted her, "The world can get better, but I'll have to take all the time I can, or we can, whatever to name it. I'll either see you again or never see you again." That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But yeah.
The police report reveals when detectives extracted data from Daniel's Google searches in the week leading up to his disappearance. There were searches that stuck out, like "Love Changed Me," "Delete Instagram account," "Shooting Tempe," "Explosion," and "I'm okay to do things I hate." But Daniel's dad, David, had just talked to his son on the phone and didn't hear anything alarming.
Outside of the history for searching, things like that, he definitely did not display that openly.
The new information in the report shows Daniel's phone at the crash site at 10:05 a.m. and it stopped tracking just after 10:30. That becomes very important with the other new details we learned a lot more about. A witness named Bill who claimed to have seen Daniel in the area after he disappeared. Bill noticed Daniel's new Jeep and said he was wearing a reflective work shirt and boots. He also noticed Daniel was missing part of his arm, which is consistent with Daniel's disability.
At first, his theory seemed to have been valid. And I even mentioned it in my family press conference that there was a second person that seen my son.
But Bill claimed to have seen Daniel around 11:30 a.m., then changed his story to different potential sighting times, none that matched the data of Daniel's phone at the crash site by 10 a.m. The police report also cast suspicion that Bill may not have been truthful about a law enforcement background.
I really don't know what to think of what happened to Daniel, y'all. I'm just hoping whatever happened to him didn't happen because of the damn girl. Because he fell in love. Like, he went crazy in love. I hope that's not the case, man. Well, since the damn girl ain't want to talk to him no more and be with him, that he crashed out and just went to the desert and ended his life or did some craziness. I hope that wasn't the case. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know what the freak could have happened to Daniel, man. This one right here, all these have me stuck, but this one right here, I don't know which way to go. But let's keep going.
Now, people interviewed Daniel's friends to see, was he obsessed with her? What was going on here? Was he in a bad state? No, they said no. He seemed fine. He wasn't a depressive type, and he wasn't depressed before this happened. So what happened? Was it a staged disappearance out there, or is he still out there? Did something bad happen and there was a cover-up? Who knows, but in the desert, there's still a mystery. Aisha Degree. In the early morning hours of February 14th, 2000, 9-year-old Aisha Degree vanished. This story is particularly scary, well, for a lot of reasons when you're talking about missing kids, but what is absolutely bizarre, she got up in the middle of the night and just straight up walked into the woods. What is also so strange is that night, really bad storm, rain, thunder, lightning, right? So, possibly the most terrifying time you could go disappearing in the middle of the night into the woods. And Aisha was scared of the dark. She was scared of lightning and thunder. So what was going on?
She had to be sleepwalking.
Start at the top.
Had to be.
Aisha was born in August 1990 in Shelby, North Carolina, the second child of Harold and Aquila. They later moved to the small town of Lawndale, and Aisha attended school, described as a good kid, very shy, quiet, and sensible. She was a good student, a great basketball player, and she dreamed of becoming an illustrator and a writer. She was taught at an early age to be wary around strangers, so she was cautious, and she was also afraid of storms and the dark, which just makes what happened all the more baffling. On Sunday, February 13th, 2000, Aisha and her family went to church, then visited relatives, and were home around 8 p.m. The kids went straight to bed. Aisha, she shared a bedroom with her older brother, O'Brien. Now, Harold checked in on them periodically throughout that very dark and stormy night. Every time he popped a head in, he said they were there, asleep, quiet as a mouse. But at one point, O'Brien does remember hearing Aisha's bed squeak, but that's it. He assumed she was just, tossing and turning in her bed, but didn't hear anything else. Then the next morning, Valentine's Day, in fact, it was actually her parents' anniversary on Valentine's Day. Parents go in, very early morning, about 6 a.m. O'Brien is there. Aisha's bed is empty. The house was searched, the yard, nothing. Panic then soon sets in. They go around knocking on neighbor's door. Have you seen Aisha? No, nothing. The police were swiftly called. They arrived to begin the search at about 6:30 a.m. on Valentine's Day. What happened, it's believed, is that for some weird reason, Aisha got up in the middle of the night with her school bag that had been pre-packed and walked out the door of her house for some absolutely unknown reason.
I'm telling you, man, this girl was sleepwalking. She was sleepwalking, dreaming that she was going to school, even though she was still asleep. That's what it gotta be, y'all. That's what it gotta be. This one's sad as hell, man. She's so young.
She was scared of storms. She was scared of strangers. She was scared of the dark. But something made her leave. The search was intensive, one of the most intensive in the state's history, but they couldn't find a single lead. Now, the Degree family lived in the middle of nowhere, forests and fields on either side, all that searched. Now, witnesses would later come forward saying they had seen a young girl walking along the side of the road the night of her disappearance. 2 witnesses said they saw her walking along in the middle of the storm. One motorist said they actually seen her and they were like, this is a bit weird, middle of the night, middle of a storm, what's a kid doing out here? They pulled over, right, to see if she was okay, talk to her, whatever. They said that as soon as they did that, Aisha took one look at him, who had been taught to be scared of strangers, to be cautious around strangers, took one look at this stranger, booked it into the woods, never to be seen again. A family that lived nearby would later alert the police that in a storage shed they believed they found some of her things, that maybe during the storm she sought shelter there. They found candy wrappers, a hair bow, a photo of a girl, but dogs could not find Aisha's scent. That particular candy wrapper was a piece of candy that had been given to Aisha like 2 days before she vanished. So it's very likely she had been there and that was indeed her stuff. You know what's really weird? The picture of the girl they found. The girl in the picture was not Aisha. It was of a completely separate girl. No one knows who that is. Over 6 months later, Aisha's book bag and some of her items were found during the construction of a road. This was about 26 miles from her home. All the items inside, mostly clothing, belonged to Aisha, apart from one t-shirt that was found inside her bag. That did not belong to Aisha. It's believed that Aisha had planned her leaving for a few days before she actually did. The reason it's believed it was planned is that her bag was presumably pre-packed because her brother didn't hear her packing her bag, which would have made a bit of noise. So she must have already packed it, therefore she must have planned it. Why though? No, it's not believed she had any problems that would cause her to run away. Like her school life was good, her home life was good. So what happened to her? Was it some misadventure? She ran away into the woods, something happened there. Did she run away and a predator, an opportunistic predator, picked her up? But had she been lured out there that night either? Had someone been grooming her? Then now the family did not have a computer, so it wouldn't have been like online kind of stuff. Unless it was somebody she already knew. The family would have known. But that, and what happened to Aisha Degree, remains a mystery. Danielle?
Yeah, that one right there, man. God damn, Mike. How many of these haymakers you gonna throw at us today, man? That one right there, man. Which one is easier to believe, my brothers and sisters? That she was either A, sleepwalking, or B, she just ran away from home? I guess running away from home will be a little more believable than the sleepwalking part. But why in the fuck would this young girl just want to run away from home like that? And where did she go? Her damn backpack and shit was found 26 miles away from the home. It had an item in it that wasn't hers. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did she get that far without somebody else picking her up or kidnapping her? Man, I don't know, man. I don't know, y'all. I know how to say I don't know on all these damn ones. But there go another one that I don't know. Now, let's go.
Danielle Imbo and Richard Patrone. Now I got the story of Danielle Imbo and Richard Patrone, and thank you to Magoat, by the way, who posted this on the good old That Chapter subreddit. This story takes us to Philadelphia in the year 2005. Danielle and Richard had been in an on-again, off-again relationship. Both Danielle and Richard had kids from previous relationships, and Danielle was in fact even going through a divorce at the time. Danielle and Richard had dated as teenagers. And as adult life took over, they dated, they broke up, they met other people, they had a relationship, you know. Bing bang boom, they ended up together this time. On the evening of February 19th, 2005, Danielle, she went out for dinner with her family, having a grand old time. And then she asked if somebody would give her a ride to a bar, where Richard was that night. So, dropped her off at this bar, a place called Abilene's, South Philly. Richard having a great old time. They met up with some other friends, they were drinking, they were dancing, good times all around. So after a few sups at about 11:45 p.m. that night, Richard and Danielle, they said their goodbyes. They were last seen walking out the door of this bar, Abilene's, in South Philly, presumably to get into Richard's car, his truck. Richard then was going to drop Danielle off at her home, and then he would head home himself. The night, up until this point, was very, very normal, as I said, until this point. Now, to note, nobody actually remembers seeing them get into the car. They just seen them walk out the door of the bar. But the next morning, nobody could get a hold of either of them. What really started to worry people was, right, the following morning, Danielle had a hair appointment, which she did not show up for, which is like, alright, fine. A couple of hours later, though, Danielle's soon-to-be ex-husband was due to drop off their son at Danielle's. When he went to drop her off, she was not there. Now, Danielle, her world revolved around her baby son. She would not have missed her little guy, for the world. That is when the searches began. The streets of Philadelphia were combed, and nothing. Richard's car, his truck, was not found either. They just disappeared. Helicopters, you name it, and nothing. The weirdest thing about this case is not what they found, it's what they didn't find. Absolutely nothing. No physical evidence whatsoever. The search extended outside of Philly and into the Delaware River, and nothing. All these years later, still nothing. They walked out of a bar, they got into his truck in the middle of this city, and they drove into a black hole. But a good few years ago, the FBI stopped treating this as a missing persons cases and as a homicide. They decided that the lack of evidence was evidence in itself, that somebody had done something to them, and that this had been a professional hit job on the couple. Now, this is still so bizarre. I mean, it's hard to hide one body. Definitely very hard to hide two bodies.
Yeah.
How you can hide a truck, I don't know. But they figured it out. Maybe. The police believe this had been orchestrated to a T. So who would want them dead? Well, things often lead to the estranged husband, who was Joseph Imbo. He had a history of threatening Richard like 30 times. Telling him, stay away from my soon-to-be ex-wife, stay away from her, all that kind of shit. So, did he do something? I mean, it's a story we've heard 1,000 times already, but the night off, he had an ironclad alibi. He was 50 miles away at a child's birthday party, and he was seen by a load of people. But then again, if this was a professional hit job, he wouldn't, his alibi would be good. But of course, Joseph has never been proven to have done anything, always denied he didn't do it. He did have lie detectors, which were proven inconclusive, but I mean, that's not a sign of guilt, really. Though, so, whether he had something to do with what happened to these two people, who knows? There are other theories. One of the strongest ones is that they somehow ended up in the Delaware River. But along that route Richard would have taken, the river was dredged, searched, nothing.
I don't like that theory. Why y'all think they ended up in the river? I don't like that. All I know is, bro, my brothers and sisters, I don't feel like they just disappeared. I feel like they got attacked. They got kidnapped. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think like something happened. Like, okay, you think they the truck, they bodies never been found. So okay, I guess you probably think it's down in the river. Okay, I guess it's a good theory. Better than I thought at first. But I don't think it's no I feel like it's a heinous act, the reason why they disappeared. Long story short, short story long, man. It's crazy though. No evidence at all. Nothing.
Carjacking was also possible that they had just been driving home. Some guys went in, killed them both, brought the car somewhere, broke the car down, stripped it, whatever. But that lead was chased everywhere. It could have been done. Like a car could have been ripped apart. Nothing. Others have also theorized that Rich Patron, who worked in like a bakery, had some dealings with the mafia. Sopranos over. Now, there's kind of like no evidence though behind that, and his family have always maintained they never had any dealings with the mob in Philadelphia or anywhere like that. But the theories kind of just spin out from there. To this day, there's a 50 grand reward for information about the disappearance, but that reward remains unclaimed. Brittany Wood. Now, this last story is pretty sickening and it gets dark. Like pitch black dark. On May 30th, 2012, 19-year-old Brittany Wood left her mother's home at around 7:15 p.m. She told her mother, she was going to meet with a friend, and that was it. Now, this was in Mobile, Alabama, a very hot, humid summer's evening, and Brittany's mother, Chessie, she watched Brittany walk out of the house down the road to where her friend in a car was presumably waiting for her. Brittany's mother, Chessie, would later say, through the entire day, she was in grand form, Good mood, up until the moment she was walking out. Then, she was in a real pissy mood. Frustrated, mad. When Chessie asked her, hey, you okay? Brittany apparently said, you wouldn't understand. Now, Brittany didn't always have it easy. When she was young, she had been molested by her maternal grandmother's boyfriend.
Damn.
He was arrested and sentenced to life in prison for that. And Brittany had come through the other side a strong person. She had a daughter of her own. She was close with her extended family, her dad, who was separated from her mother, and she bounced around the place staying with various people. It was 2 days later, after she had last been seen walking out of the house, that things went from, okay, you haven't seen Brittany in a couple of days, but I'm sure she's fine, she bounced around the place, she's probably with friends. That's what people were thinking when they hadn't seen her. It went from that to, oh shit, this is horrific. Brittany's uncle, a guy named Donnie Holland, was found in the woods near his home, which was not far from Brittany's home in the Mobile, Alabama area. He was found dead. He had a gunshot wound to the back of the head. Now that has been ruled self-inflicted. The good old, I took myself out of the field and shot myself 5 times in the back of the head deal doesn't seem self-inflicted. Now, of course, though, the family devastated, as you can imagine, right? So they, they had to spread the word, let friends and family know. Poor Uncle Donnie, right? Texting Brittany, hey, you'll never guess what happened to your uncle. That's when they realized they hadn't spoken to Brittany in a couple of days. Nobody had. They couldn't get through to her. She was missing. Calls went to voicemail, texts unanswered. People then began calling that friend, she had said she was going to meet that day. On May 30th, when she was last seen. People, the friend? No idea what you're talking about. I haven't spoken to Brittany in ages. We were not due to meet up that day. So where was Brittany? Then it came out that Donnie, the old self-inflicted gunshot wound to the back of his own head, the gun that had done that, was Brittany's gun. She had just bought it for self-protection. Brittany Wood was reported missing on June 2nd, and searches were done, but nothing was found. It seemed that Donnie was in fact who Brittany had been going to meet that day, when something happened. Now time for the twist. Get this. At the time of Donnie's death, murder, self-inflicted murder, he was being investigated for being the head of this child exploitation incest ring that had gone on for generations. This had been within the entire family, including Brittany.
Y'all some nasty son of a sons. Oh my god.
This is like some True Detective child abuse, ritualistic, sick shit. And the fact that this had gone on for generations is unbelievable. The day he got suicided, Donnie was in fact due to meet with an investigator who was investigating the claims of this child abuse incest ring. But instead, he got dead. So what happened during those days between when Brittany was last seen on May 30th to June 1st when Donnie died via Brittany's gun? Her last cell phone transmissions were from the exact same area where Donnie's body was found, so that's why they believe she'd gone to meet with him. She'd killed him. He'd killed her. We don't know. Huge searches through the entire area were done. Had she been killed, buried, and Donnie didn't want to face the repercussions of murdering his niece, maybe she was going to expose this? Or had she killed her uncle for what he was doing and had done to the entire family and then had gone on the run?
Big story right now at 6 o'clock. More family members of missing teen mom Brittany Wood are behind bars tonight.
7 people arrested face charges related to an ongoing child sex abuse investigation. Wood went missing in May of 2012.
In the aftermath of all of this coming out, just so you know how hideous this was, 2 of Brittany's uncles, 2 of her aunts, her own brother and mother were charged in relation to this child abuse ring, along with other relatives and family friends. It seems like everybody was involved in this, doing it, covering it up. Authorities.
Man, I don't think I ever heard of a family this goddamn sick ever, y'all. Like, this shit is just fucking sick. Like, it deserves every profanity that is coming out of my mouth right now, man. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Oh my God, man. Just be thankful that you got the family that you got. Because you could have been born up into this sick ass shit. Ugh.
Think Brittany is likely dead, but the only person who may have known is Worm Food. But the fact that Donnie, the head of this entire thing, was shot in the back of the head with Brittany's gun, kind of only points to one thing, in my opinion. This is some twisted, dark stuff out in those backwoods, and what happened to Brittany? Who knows? Hopefully she's still out there in a better place than where she was coming from.
Yeah.
And that will do it for this whole episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of the Scariest Disappearances that still remain a mystery. These sort of stories are always really interesting to get into, because you can come across some wild ones. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed it, like part 3, there could be a part 3. Let me know your thoughts. But again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And yeah, listen, I'll see you real soon in the next video. But until then, look after each other. Look after yourselves, because I love you. Mike out.
Yeah, Mike, we're gonna need that part 3 real soon, my brother. For real, man, because this shit is just wild, y'all. Like, it's crazy. All those stories we just heard about, all those people, and there's not one of them that I can definitively say, I think this, like, I know this is what happened to him. This is what happened to him. This is what happened to him. All of this shit is just speculation, y'all. All these stories are just speculation. But I can't say for the most part, you feel like they, majority of them passed away than rather being alive. Like her, the last lady in that one, I believe she dead, man. I just gotta keep it real. I believe she dead. But the one with the Bryce dude, he potentially still could be alive, man. He could potentially be alive. The couple that disappeared when they walked out the bar, I believe they got kidnapped somewhere. And they got kidnapped by some folks, and now I don't think they alive no more. You know what I'm saying? These just was crazy. Like, these disappearances, man, and you can't, like I always be saying too, y'all, you really can't get mad at nobody for their different theories and, you know what I'm saying, stuff that they believe that actually happened to them. If you believe they alive or dead or got kidnapped or just decided to just start them a new life, whatever. Like, any of these theories for the most part, man, is pretty plausible, man. But I don't know who all passed away from this video. And I'll just say rest in peace to those that did. Real talk. But I digress, my brothers and sisters. I'm gonna go and let y'all go, man, because this been a long one. I ain't trying to hold y'all too much longer. So I'm just gonna ask y'all to hit that like button, comment, subscribe, do all that, and come on back tomorrow. And until then, my friend, love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.